Bearcats are 15-2 overall. They're 5-0 in conference play after beating East Carolina on the road today, 55-46. Coach Cronin apparently used his voice so much before, during, and after the game today that he is hoarse. And we are joined courtside by Associate Head Coach Larry Davis. I always appreciate the opportunity to visit with Coach Davis. Not a thing of beauty today, but when you hold the opponent to 46 points on the road, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that was our best effort defensively or offensively, but we did hold them to 46 points. They missed some shots. We felt like they missed some open shots, and, we dodged a bullet a little bit there. They did only shoot 25%, but, we didn't feel like we were very good offensively today. We weren't moving. We weren't doing the things that we've been doing, and as evident by only 10 assists. We've been in the 18, 16, 18, 19, 20 mark on the assist, and we didn't do that today.
You hear the word trap game, and people can overuse this term because I think in league play, every game that you go on the road can be a trap game if they're not in the upper tier of the conference. But how did you address this with the team, and how did Coach Cronin address this with the team coming into the game?
Well, Coach always he addressed it first thing in the first practice we had after the SMU game that, guys, how would we practice right now had we lost against SMU? We'd be desperate. We'd be practicing desperate for the win, and we've got to practice that same way even though we won the game. And that's the attitude. If you want to be a really good team, if you want to advance into the tournament, and then once you get into the tournament, advance deep into the tournament, then that's the attitude you have to take throughout the season, because you got to be constantly improving, constantly climbing the mountain. And I always say this, let's say the mountain's 10,000 yards high. Okay, the first 80,000 are pretty easy to climb. The last 20 are always the hard, and the last 10 is the hardest, and the last 5 is damn near impossible. And you've got to do everything you can, and that's what's happened to a basketball team. It's easy to improve, okay, and fall to a certain point. And then what separates you to be a really good tournament team come tournament time is those teams that keep getting better, slowly but surely keep getting better. And that's what we have to fight right now. We can't get complacent.
You had a captain. Your captain, Troy Copain, was basically on fluids all day yesterday. Wasn't feeling good. Wasn't feeling necessarily good today. You can tell he was winded at times. Didn't even take a shot until about the 4-minute mark, where he reeled off 8 in a row when it was 21-21, pushed the lead out, and from that point, you guys never look back.
No, and Coach said something to him in a timeout. He looked at me on the bench. He said, "How many shots has Troy got?" I said, "He hadn't taken a shot, Coach." And so he pulled him aside and said, "Are you going to play? I mean, you can't just. I know you don't feel good, but you can't lay back. If you're going to be out there, you got to play, and you got to get aggressive." And he did, and he gave us a little separation, which was good. Second half, the same thing. He only took 2 shots in the second half, and one of those came in, I think, in the last 4 minutes. I mean, and again, didn't feel well, but if you're going to be out there playing, you got to give us something. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
I thought in the second half, you got tremendous defensive effort from Nasir Brooks. He comes in 13 minutes, changed the pace of the game, 5 block shots, 4 rebounds, but the box outs and the little things, attention to detail that Coach Savino always mentions to him, seemed like it all clicked at once.
Yeah, and there's no question. He did a tremendous job. We were playing more of our zone in the second half. He did a tremendous job when he went in the game of when they set the ball screen, not letting the little guard down the lane. Shepard was on a little roll, a little run, and Nas really, that's something that's not going to show up in the stat book as far as getting a rebound or a block shot, but that's just as important, and that shut their offense down just as much because he got out, stopped him on the ball screen. He couldn't get penetration. He couldn't get drive in there, and he really did play well. He was probably the highlight of the day, I think, for the coaching staff, and I'm sure for Coach, he would say Nasir Brooks' play in the second half was definitely the highlight of the day for us.
When you go on the road and you find out that this is a home game basically for Gary Clark, and when you go any place where there's going to be a big contingent of fans for one particular person, is it a little bit too much pressure for that person to perform? Because early on, Gary Clark came out in a tear, and he had 5 rebounds and 4 points, and then he got in foul trouble, and then he just sort of coasted until the last part, and then he finally had a little flurry where he helped lead the game.
Yeah, I think that's certainly it can be a factor. I think the other thing is, it's distracting when you come into hometown. People don't mean it, But, they're calling you for tickets. They're calling because they want to come by and see. They want to say hi or whatever. And, your phones, and with the texting now, everybody texts you when you're in town. And if you're not careful, you can get distracted. And I'm saying what happened to Gary, but it's easy to do that when you're in your hometown, and you got to guard against that. And, we spoke to Gary before the game, or before we made the trip about it, to say, look, you got to tell your family you love them, but you got to have some peace, and you got to be ready to play for the game. And I thought he started out great, like you said, and then foul trouble, and sometimes foul trouble puts you back on your heels a little bit too. And he got a big bucket in the second half, though, when we needed one. I think they cut it to 6, and he got a big bucket on a rebound and a bucket down there, which we needed.
Looking forward to Wednesday. Temple's at home.
Yeah, it's we're in this stretch of 4 games in 10 days. It's not easy. Obviously, geared up, had a great win against SMU, coming in here, getting a road win. It wasn't pretty, but we got it. Coach will certainly is addressing the fact that we didn't play up to our potential. We'll have to be, in short period of time, have to be prepared and ready to play against Temple. I'm sure they're desperate for a win right now. There's no question about that. They've lost some tough, close games. They're going to be desperate for a win. And we can't say, well, we beat them at Temple and, we're going to come in here and we just got to show up. We got to be really, really ready to play. And I know that's what Coach is addressing right now, or trying to. He has not much voice left.
Larry, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for coming out and joining us.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That is Associate Head Coach Larry Davis.
All right, 55-46. Ugly, figured it would be a letdown game. I smelled it. I think everybody did. And like Coach Larry Davis said, they definitely dodged a bullet because East Carolina had some open looks in the second half and just did not knock them down, or it would have been way too close for comfort down the stretch. But it was nice to see freshman Nasir Brooks, 6'11", out of Philadelphia, impose his will with 5 blocks, including 2 really loud ones where he almost popped the ball. But it just seemed like a kind of a lackadaisical effort on offense for sure today for the Bearcats. A lot of wasted possessions, taking quick shots, long shots without exploring or trying to attack. It was like they didn't have enough energy to drive or try to beat their man. And I know that the 7'1" kid, Washington, was back there erasing pretty much anything that came near the rim. But, you got to be tough enough to drive in there, jump into the guy, do something, try to get him in foul trouble, get him out of the game. And I think that's one of the areas that Cronin has talked about. He's not sure if his team is tough enough. They can score, they're skilled usually, obviously not today, but when the shots aren't falling from the outside, you got to find a way to really be strong, get in there, don't settle, different things like that. So learning experience for the guys. Luckily, they learned with a win, 55-46. Just one of those, get it over with, get on the plane, move on to the next one. And that will be the rematch with Temple on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. This is Justin Berg, BearcatJournal.com. Thank you.